Before understanding the concept of RID lookup, first we need to check what is set statistics on and off. So और ये set statistics on अपन कब use करते हैं? So this particular set statistics on is used when you have to check that एक मेरा particular query is going through how many number of pages, उसके logical reads कितने हैं, उसके physical reads कितने हैं, okay? So if you want to know these type of data, we will be using this particular set statistics IO on. This particular set statistics IO on tells you about कि अपने एक query को run करते समय कितने logical reads किए हैं और कितने physical reads. So right now I have this simple query where I'm selecting the data from the customers table using customer ID and customer unique ID. If I run this query, here you could see that I'm not getting any result set about that how many number of pages this particular query read. But if you want to get the data of this particular query, that it is reading how much pages, data pages, so what we need to do, we need to add this particular command called set statistics IO on, and similarly we need to off it. Okay, set statistics off. Now if I try to run this particular query, here you could see that now in the message part that it is doing one scan count, and it is doing 4 logical reads, 0 physical reads, and there are some other type of read, that is page server read, ahead read, page server reads. So there are some different logical read. To understand deeply about this read, you can refer to this particular MSDN documentation. Okay, so if you go to the MSDN documentation and search about statistics IO on, you will get these type. But right now this is not important for our this part. Right now what is important, that how much logical reads it is doing and how much physical reads it is doing. Okay, now let's move to our main topic, that is RID lookup. This RID lookup stands for row ID lookup. Row ID lookup means क्या होता है कि जब भी किसी टेबल पे हम लोग नन क्लस्टर्ड इंडेक्स तो बनाते हैं, but if we don't have any clustered index in a particular table, what it does, when it tries to search some value, let's suppose we have a value and it is trying to search that value in that particular non-clustered index, and we haven't created any non-clustered index on that particular column, then it will fall back to the row ID. Okay, to understand that, let's quickly move to example. Okay, so in the screen you could see that I have a query where I am selecting data from the customers table, and I have 2 different predicates. One predicate I have based on customer ID, and other predicate I have based on customer unique ID. If you could see in my this table, I only have indexes based on customer unique ID and customer zip code prefix, and it is a non-clustered index. We do not have any clustered index. So when we do not have any clustered index, this particular row ID lookups occur. And how it occurs, let's see that. Okay, in this example we are searching data from the customers table, and we have 2 different predicates. First we have the customer ID, and second we have the customer unique ID. Okay, and we have already created a non-clustered index on the customer unique ID. So while searching the data for the customer unique ID, it will do the index seek. In the image 1, here you could see that for customer unique ID it is doing unique seek, index seek. Okay, so if I move to SSMS, here you could see that in the execution plan for this particular query, it is doing the seek predicate, and in the seek predicate it has a customer unique ID. Okay, it is doing index seek. So here you could see that in this particular query in the execution plan, it is happening RID lookup. Okay, in the RID lookup, here you could see this is the RID lookup and index seek. So basically what does it mean? For we have 2 different predicates. For one predicate we have is customer ID, the other predicate we have is customer unique ID. Okay, for the customer unique ID, it is directly going to those records and fetching the record. Basically it is seeking the record from that particular data page. But when it comes to customer ID, the compiler goes and check, do we have any clustered indexing? Yeah, do we have any indexing onto it? It says no. It says no, we do not have any non-cluster index. And what it does, it will fall back to the RID, row IDs. Basically SQL every time gives a single row ID to every record. Okay, so if we have a non-clustered index and if we do not have any clustered index, so what it will do, it will fall back to that particular row ID lookup. So here in this particular customer unique ID, like for this particular customer ID for this particular predicate, what it is doing, it is doing RID lookup. Okay, so it says that we do not have any clustered non-clustered index, so it fall backs to the row IDs and then it is trying to search the data. So it is kind of a problem. Okay, so basically what it does, let's suppose right now in customer ID we have only one record to search, but let's suppose if we have many records, so every time what the compiler will do, it will for searching every record for customer ID, it will fall back to RID lookup. It will fall back to, let's suppose if we have 10 records, it will fall back to, every time it will fall back to RID lookup when it comes to search the data for customer ID. Whenever we want to search the data based on customer ID, it will start falling back. So let's suppose if we have 1000 records to search, 1000 time it will fall back to RID lookup, and this is a issue, and this is called a row ID lookup issue. To resolve that, what we need to do, either we have to create an indexing on that particular predicate due to which this particular row ID lookup is occurring. So when you hover into this particular row ID lookup, here you could, in the predicate, like in the predicate we have customer ID. Okay, here you could see in the predicate we have customer ID. Basically this row ID lookup is happening due to customer ID. So what we need to do, we need to create a clustered index or a non-clustered index onto that. So right now we do not have any clustered index. I'm going to create a clustered index, naming it as IX customer ID. Okay, if I execute it, here you could see that my class index is being created. Okay, my index is being created. Now if I try to run the same query with the statistics in and out, okay, so the execution will directly fall into the index seek. Okay, now this particular row ID lookup got resolved, and now we are not seeing this particular row ID lookup. So this indexing, like every time whenever we are doing indexing or everything, we need to check whether my query is doing index seek or index scan or table scan. Based on that we can create indexes based on these issues, like row ID lookup issue, and in the further class we are going to explain that key lookup issues. So for these type of issue, whenever it is occurring, you need to think like that, and based on those predicates on which these issues were occurring, we need to create indexes based on that. Okay, so this is one of the key point for this particular whole video. Okay, so now it is doing index seek. Okay, this is how we can resolve a row ID lookup. Now in the next class I will be explaining the key lookup issue. So if you really like my video, if you think that I am contributing something good in your SQL journey, please do like, subscribe my YouTube channel.